apparently this cool thing in Kung Fu the other day where you, where...
Kill someone?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I interrupted. Are we going? All right, let's start with your name just for the record.
Oh, okay. I'm Haley Chamberlain.
And I am Roger Johnson, of course, the world's first self-proclaimed welcome sign photography expert. I was born on June 25th, 1970 in St. Paul, Minnesota at 6:53 p.m. I was joined 7 minutes later by an identical twin brother, Boy Johnson #2. They wisely renamed him Rodney. I started traveling at a very young age. I think we were 2 the first time we went up to Grand Rapids, Minnesota for the annual car show and swap meet. We did take other trips when we were kids. Northern Minnesota, Thunder Bay, Canada. We made it out to Idaho one year. We made stops at Yellowstone National Park and Mount Rushmore. By the time I was in high school, my love for travel and Rodney's developing interest in filmmaking came together, and we started producing vacation videos. We took trips to Michigan, Florida, the Grand Canyon.
Scene 1, take 155.
Oh boy, we're on our way to the Grand Canyon.
Yeah!
It was on the way to the Grand Canyon that I made my dad stop the truck, and I took my very first welcome sign photo. 6.5 years later, I was in Honolulu.
This is the Channel 2 News at 6 with Joe Moore, Hawaii's #1 news.
Roger Johnson completed his mission today. He had his picture taken next to the Welcome to Hawaii sign. Today's photo finishes Johnson's collections of photos in all 50 states.
Rodney and I continued to make movies. Started my own website, welcometoamerica.us, and I continued to travel and take photographs, visiting state capitals, governor's mansions, state fairs, state high points, national parks, national monuments, NASA spacecraft, presidential sites, birth sites, homes, libraries, graves. In 2004, I took a job for a season as a professional tour guide. It was then that I decided I was going to take the trip of a lifetime. I wanted to do more than just the trip, although that would have been fun. I wanted to make it into a TV show or a documentary or something like that. We started the whole thing with Rodney behind the camera. Me on camera by myself would have been really boring, watching me go take pictures of myself next to signs or whatever. All right, get in your spot. So I found a travel partner, one Haley Chamberlain. We officially started the trip on May 16th, 2007. But like any trip, you have a time limit, and you have to pick and choose what you're going to see and what you're going to do. And we weren't going to see just New York City. We were going to see the entire country. And so you have to kind of pick and choose what are the highlights.
Well, the other thing would be you go to 36th Street and then.
As long as we're close, fine.
Closer.
So that was the hardest part at the very beginning.
Right up the stairs here.
Was realizing that we had just endless choices, endless possibilities of what we wanted to see, because you could do the trip so many ways. What did you see?
I saw all of New York and New Jersey.
Dang. All right.
So we can go.
Where are we going next?
The fruited plains and the purple mountains and the Pacific Ocean.
Nice. Let's go.
All right.
Roger picked the dorkiest possible vehicle. Maybe not possible, but it is a family van. It is the fam van. It's a soccer mom vehicle that we shoved full of equipment. So, like, if ever the bumpkins came to the city
That was
and
us.
drove through Times Square, that was it.
The only rule that we had, or that I had, was that over the course of 50 days from May 16th to July 4th, we were going to set foot in each and every state.
First injury of the whole trip.
And along with visiting every state. The only rule then was to get a welcome sign photo of the two of us in every state.
Doesn't could be a climber.
And so, of course, that was my forte, my expertise, my
Passion?
passion.
Obsession?
Passion.
Fetish?
Passion.
Can you explain why you love it?
It ties into the other interests that I have. I mean, I have an interest in travel, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I have an interest in photography. I have an interest in graphic design and that kind of thing.
Because we started with Roger's basic, he's got the 7 poses. We've got the
There's the thumbs up, there's the casual, looking back at the sign.
Oh, yeah.
As if to be saying, where are we? And then there's pointing up at the sign, hey, look, Ma, we're at Arkansas, or wherever we happen to be. On top of the sign or hanging on the side
Climbing
somewhere.
sign.
Probably illegal.
Yes.
There's the handstand and victory.
Then we started adding things.
Well, you started doing the Kung Fu poses.
Yeah, I did the Kung Fu poses.
What was cool on this trip that I've done a little bit before, we had our laptop computers, we had GPS. I got one of these broadband cards. So anywhere where there was cell phone contact, we had internet connection.
But you guys are moving in a van, and I'm in the middle of the going.
I've Skyped before. I've talked to people over the internet, but to be driving on a trip and realize how connected you are to everybody else, I was amazed.
First stop for the major stop of the day. We'd gone through Connecticut and Rhode Island. We stopped at a little cafe in Rhode Island. Had some dessert. Get good pie in Rhode Island.
I like the jumping up idea a lot.
So we were headed to Plymouth, to the Plymouth Rock.
It's just pretty fantastic that we pull up to Plymouth and we're sitting there with the GPS doing all
Well, yeah,
this
we're using
navigation.
GPS to navigate, and then when the Pilgrims came over, 1620 or whatever, what did the rock say? 1620.
Mm-hmm.
They were completely lost.
Okay, we're standing here at Plymouth Rock.
We are in day 2 of the 50 States, 50 Days trip. That means 48 days until Hawaii.
Well, I was expecting a very large rock. I don't know what I imagined. Last time I thought about the Mayflower, I was in like 2nd grade, I guess.
So we just got this. Hello, my name is McKellar, and I live in Plymouth, Massachusetts. And today, on the 17th of May, we saw you guys in your van at the light at the intersections of Route 44 and 3A in Plymouth. We were in the Silver Rodeo. Sitting rodeo. When you're in LA, it's rodeo. Sitting next to you at the light. Just thought this may be interesting to you, and I hope you guys make your goal. Michaela, age 12. But I don't want to say, you cook and I'll set up the tents.
Okay, how about I cook and you set up the tents?
Okay, that'll work.
Okay.
Roger does not eat a whole lot. Rodney, not so much. And it's just the 3 of us.
There was no caterer waiting for us at the end of the day to feed us.
So much of the time it was just, you went to bed hungry because it was like, sleep or eat, okay.
Tomorrow's Freedom Trail Day.
Tomorrow is Freedom Trail, so that's over here.
Okay, so
And so the red line is the Freedom Trail. They take all these historic sites throughout Boston about the American Revolution and the colonial period and whatnot.
Paul Revere and stuff.
Exactly, Paul Revere's house, the Old North Church, site
Do
of
we
the
end up
Boston
there?
Massacre. But we're going to start here.
So it was, we start out the day soaking and then put on rain gear and then just get rained on all day long. But even though all that happened,
It was a good day.
it was a really good day.
Yeah. The thing is, I know enough history that I kind of have the general idea. But the whole time I'm trying to, passing on my knowledge and everything, and I'm just scared to death that I'm going to get this thing or that thing wrong and tell you something that's not quite right. Or the Old North Bridge next to the Old North Church and the Old North Gift Shop, which is north of the South Meeting House. We went into the church too. Get out of the rain and hear the story of hanging the lanterns and I don't even remember.
See the whites of their eyes. And
Well, that was the Battle of Bunker Hill the next day, but
well,
not the next day, but
you know what I mean.
I'm being picky.
But I was cold and wet for an entire day. My hands were completely and totally pruned up. My feet were pruned up. My jeans were completely soaked. Everything was wet. Where did we end up that night? There it is.
There it is.
Welcome to Maine, the way life should be.
That's one of the best slogans ever.
Anyway, where were we?
Updating the website.
Oh, that's right.
No,
We had to update the
so we'd come in and update the website and check email and charge batteries and do all that.
The British are coming! The British are coming! Happy Friday, everybody! 50 states, 50 days. We're on day number 3 of the trip. 1, 2, 3. And,
The original idea was to go watch a sunrise or something on the Maine coast. But, of course, it was rainy and icky and cloudy, and wished we could have spent more time there, but we had to get going. We had places to go.
That was the first time. I don't
to
remember
see.
putting the New York sticker on there, Car. But we must have stickers on the whole way. Each
We must
state
have
we
done
got.
New York when we were in that day 2 of the trip.
why did seagulls fly across the sea? Because if they were bagels...
But Maine has my favorite slogan, and we didn't get the sign that had this written on it.
No, that was the one we drove by at night.
We just got one that was like Maine, but had good trees there. Well, I collected lots of leaves from lots of different trees and identified them, and
That's what was cool, is that even though we had the different interests, you know, there was a little bit of yours and a little
there's
bit of...
Concord, New Hampshire, right there.
But no, so it was kind of neat because you'd have your interests and your passions, and we could kind of squeeze those in a little bit, and then we could squeeze mine in a little bit, and
And most of the time they overlapped.
sometimes they did.
What's our trip count right now?
553.3.
Because you like old cemeteries,
I mean, I spent my childhood, escaping to cemeteries to just hang out.
and so then there was a very special cemetery that I wanted to stop at in Concord, New Hampshire,
But I didn't know why.
and I wanted to keep it a secret.
It's inappropriate for me to laugh here.
He brought me to the gravesite of Franklin Pierce, one of the 5 presidential graves he's never visited.
I've been to every other one.
You feel a little bit more complete now? I don't think I've laughed that hard this whole trip.
Never in a cemetery.
And I never thought that Franklin Pierce would be funny.
Right after we crossed into Vermont, we had our little bit of an accident.
Oh, I completely forgot about that. We met some new friends. We ran into some new friends.
They ran into us.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry I rear-ended you.
Yeah, they smashed into our little soccer van.
They put a little dent in the back of the van, enough so that it was cosmetically not perfect, but they were nice enough about it.
And we were nice enough about it.
Then it was on to New York. Back to New York.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, I think we were on schedule. But then we stayed in
Canandaigua.
Canandaigua,
Canandaigua.
New York. Then the next morning, the battery was dead. And we had a trickle charger
Yeah,
for it to
take
charge
like
it up.
2 hours or something? No.
Oh, it
didn't
didn't take that long. But so finally we got to Niagara Falls. For me, very few of the places we went to were things that I hadn't seen before, or whether it was places that I'd been to before and wanted to go again. It was like the 3rd or 4th time I'd been to Niagara Falls, and every time I go to Niagara Falls, I do something different. So we went down to the Cave of the Winds, and it's not really a cave, but
There were lots of places that I'd never been that were a huge draw.
And then there was that part of it too, is showing you places that you had never seen before, and to experience it in a different way than what I might have experienced it by myself.
The night that we stopped and watched the sunset on our way to Gettysburg, that was really an important night for me because you laid it all out for me.
Ultimately,
Why did this battle take place in this little town of Gettysburg that everybody knows? Everybody's heard of Gettysburg.
Why did it matter?
And why was this important, and why did it take place where it did?
Richmond, Washington, D.C.
You really did lay it out very, very nicely and neatly, and included a lot of detail where it was appropriate to be able to take that the next day and go and set foot there. There's no way to describe how powerful that is. It was a feeling of connection through time to events that I'd read about. I mean, I knew about Gettysburg. I studied it in school, and it just didn't ring.
Well, it's a battle. These guys were over here and those guys were over there. And you get lost in all the names and all the different stuff, but to try and give it a context, Why does this guy support this cause and this guy support that cause? They both believe in the same God. They both swore allegiance to the Constitution, but this guy believes the
How do you
Constitution.
know you're right? All those people who fought and died there died for what they thought was right.
And so you had both sides believing strongly to the point that they were willing to give their lives. Rodney got me a book about the 1st Minnesota Infantry Regiment. They basically ended up meeting up with the Confederates at a place called Plum Creek. I wanted to go down and see that spot, and so then to walk across the field and to see the spot where these guys, they knew they weren't coming out of there alive. It's the highest casualty rate of any surviving unit in U.S. Army history. You know, Lincoln, of course, gave the famous speech there.
And then after the battle, they set aside this piece of land next to it. And so Lincoln came here to dedicate this cemetery.
7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, now engaged in a great civil liberty, testing whether that nation, or any nation, is so conceived and so dedicatedly resolved that these dead shall not have died in vain.
I will never forget that day.
But then you go to Gettysburg, and of course the speech starts out with 7 years ago, and of course he's referring to the Revolution, which just down the road you go to Independence Hall, where 7 years earlier they had signed the Declaration of Independence. And it wasn't the guys out on the battlefield anymore. This was a bunch of the rich guys and politicians, and but they were standing up
people
for
in wigs.
People in wigs. They were called the Whigs.
But history's alive. It's still living. It's over 200 years old. It's called the Constitution of the United States. And it was signed in that room. But it was here that our nation was built. Not just in a day or a year. The war lasted 8 years.
It's May 22nd, and it's day 7 of the big trip.
It's gone a week since New York.
Yeah!
Holy bucket.
You've got, George Washington is holed up in Valley Forge.
It's freezing
And
cold.
it's freezing cold, and so what do you do if you're George Washington?
Go on a canoe trip?
Roger and Haley floating down the Delaware.
It's a boyhood dream that we all have.
We all dream of crossing the Delaware, which was the whole part of the reason we brought the canoe with us in the first place.
I don't know what Washington was making such a fuss about.
He was doing it in December, but...
Yeah, whatever.
So Delaware.
Delaware.
The first state.
We went to Delaware.
But no, so it was Delaware, then down to Fort McHenry. It is, of course, where the Battle of Baltimore took place in the War of 1812, and Francis Scott Key wrote the poem which became the Star-Spangled Banner, the national anthem.
I'm really glad we went there. It's one of those places that I would not have thought to stop. It's a flag, and it's on a pole. I'm not a flag person. I'm not a vexillologist.
No.
And if you're ever going to fall in love with a flag, that's going to be the flag you're going to fall in love with. It was brilliant.
I've fallen in love with many a flag, but that one.
That's the one. We didn't have time to spend a lot of time in every single state. We had to do a little skirting.
And so for West Virginia, it's like, okay, we'll go to Harper's Ferry. It's where the Shenandoah and Potomac River meet. Which is why it was such a major
And you could see
crossroads.
where the Shenandoah and the Potomac River meet.
Yeah.
Met.
Well,
Where
they still
meet.
do.
Yeah, they do.
Well, and we stopped at Arlington National Cemetery. We just got to see President Taft's grave, which was not on the agenda. And
Which is another one, right? Or had you?
I had seen President Taft's grave before.
Oh, well, it was another one for me. Check.
And then President Kennedy's grave.
Check.
We walked up to the Tomb of the Unknowns,
And they had memorials for all the NASA astronauts.
Yeah.
What was what's the really big one with the ship?
the mast is the USS Maine.
Sorry, the Spanish-American War?
Yeah. Yeah, then it was into Washington, D.C.
There is so much to do in Washington. We went to the Jefferson Memorial.
Walked over to the Lincoln Memorial.
Cried some more.
Cried some more. because the Gettysburg Address is all over the wall.
The words that are used are so powerful and significant and simple. What is what's the part about, not the ultimate cost, but
We take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave their last full measure of devotion. Well, and then when you ask the question is, how do you know what's right? You've got the Gettysburg Addresses on one side and the second inaugural on the other side, and Lincoln answers the question with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right. The boarding house that used to be where John Wilkes Booth and all of his co-conspirators met to plot the assassination. The building still exists, except today it is now
it's a Japanese restaurant.
Japanese-Chinese restaurant. And I had never
That was the first time you ever had sushi?
I had never had sushi before, and Haley wanted to get me to try sushi.
Very nice.
We wanted to get a shot, just go by Ford's Theater. And we knew that it was going to be closed. And a security guy comes out, and he sees Rodney's big high-definition camera. And
what are you doing here?
I was like, so we explained
I'm an
everything.
actress, and I really just wanted to see the theater.
And so we kind of explained what we were doing, and next thing we know, the door opens up, and we're going around the corner, and here we are up on the stage. And it's like, oh, and there's the door that Booth escaped from, and there's the presidential box. We're talking, and
we're about to leave, and he goes, you wanna go see the box?
And we're like, okay.
All right.
And so yeah, and you can go in.
Do you want to go in? You want to go in the booth? Okay.
But then there was another door that actually led into the box, and so he pulls out this big key chain
with skeleton keys all over it, like this huge mound of keys.
So President Lincoln was in a rocking chair.
Yeah. He tried every single key that he had.
Had he been on guard the night?
Had he been on guard the night that Lincoln was assassinated, there's no way that Booth would have gotten in there to do the deed.
Wouldn't have been able to open the door.
He would have. I'd done some of this before, but not like this. We were going to follow Booth's escape route because I'd planned an overnight drive anyway.
I was really into it.
You liked it, didn't you? You were just tired.
Mm-hmm.
So we drove out into suburban Maryland to the Surratt boarding house.
We rode out here, and they left guns and binoculars and things they needed to rest their horses.
And from the boarding house, then Booth went to the 7-Eleven. No, we went to the 7-Eleven. And so we got Slurpees, and you got coffee, didn't you?
Couldn't remember whether I wanted to stay awake or go to sleep.
Yeah, I'll drive for now.
But then it was on to the Mudd House, where Dr. Samuel Mudd treated Booth's leg.
I think Booth was guilty. Or not Booth. Mudd. Booth was definitely guilty.
Yeah.
There it is. The infamous Dr. Samuel Mudd House.
But we can't go any further.
No, because it's a private property, private museum, and they're closed.
And then we went to the Garrett Farm site, where Booth met his demise. Anyway, so we drove all night.
No, I gotta say, I just have to stop and tell you that Roger is a complete animal when it comes to driving long distance. We pretty much devour, roads in the middle of the night. There were many times when I could set my clock and be up at a time. But if we were driving all night...
Yeah, there was no leaving time because we were already going.
We are in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, first in flight, North Carolina, where the Wright brothers did their trip. And Roger's way out there, and he's gonna see if he can beat their time. It took him 12 seconds to go 120 feet. Let's see if he can do it. You ready? Ready. And go! 5.63.
You were like a 5-year-old. You had so much fun.
It was fun.
12 to there, because they did 12 to the 175-foot mark, too.
Well, I didn't time it to there.
Should we do it again?
We'll have to get a bigger challenge for you.
We're doing 50 states in 50 days. Come on.
We can beat the Wright brothers anytime.
Oh, behind me is the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse. I'm home. I'm in the Carolinas. We can't climb up because they're closed for the day. But I don't care.
Yeah.
We were too close not to just go and see my ocean. It's like, this feels right.
Which was cool. It was one of my favorite memories from the whole trip.
Really?
Yeah. Cool. I told you that before. I haven't told them, though.
It was cool for me. I mean, I haven't been back there to the place I grew up because, you know, my family is kind of living in different places now.
Yeah.
And it was just, that was awesome. I was born in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and I grew up in Charleston, South Carolina, where pretty much you go on adventures all the time. My dad would go, all right, who wants to go on an adventure? And that meant who wanted to go to the grocery store or the car wash. The actual traveling we did was to see or be with family. We visited Louisiana, Texas, and went camping in the mountains in North Carolina. Now, I ended up staying in Charleston for college, and I was working on a biology degree when I fell in love with acting on stage. And my newfound desire to act, and I had this lingering love of science that led me to taking a job in Minneapolis, where I did 3 or 4 years of steady stage work.
Then came the Alzheimer's and the summer of digging.
I really wanted to try my hand at doing some film work.
It's a great thing to tell a person.
Whatever projects I could find that were on camera.
Me.
And then I found a television show that said they were going to all 50 states in 50 days. It was sort of a perfect fit because I loved traveling and I loved being able to explore lots of different things that I like and be able to look at the things that Roger loved, and the fact that we got to go and see a ton of my family on this trip was a big draw. I mean, it was, in my mind, it was something that was, of course. We got to spend more than one day in a place, and that was fabulous, and somebody else made us food. I love mommies and brothers.
Roger, nice to meet you, Roger.
We're at the Riverbank Zoo in Columbia, South Carolina.
We were in Charlotte, North Carolina
And
last night.
we're on our way to
yesterday.
Charleston, and my brother called us up and lent us a kid or two, and now we're on our way.
We're on our way there, and that's where Haley grew up.
That was my bedroom on the end there to the left.
And then next to them were some smaller bars, and I
Jumped off the top of it, whoosh, and it cut all the way around here. Do you look at the difference between my fingers?
That one's longer.
So you wanted to take the canoe out.
Well, we had a canoe with us, so we might as well use it.
The original.
We canoed first,
Oh, that's right.
and then we swam.
Yeah, I used to swim across it with my friend Margaret all the time. Oh, and Roger almost died.
That was funny. When did I almost die?
On the way back.
Oh, I was tired.
He was like, and he was like, just go without me. Just go ahead, finish the trip.
Right on there.
Before heading out,
Oh yeah, we went to downtown Charleston.
we went to downtown Charleston.
This is Rainbow Row. Here's the Satelli Theater. There is beautiful St. Philip's.
Look to your left here, that's the Dock Street Theater.
Polypodium, polypodioides. Thank you, doing well, how are you?
Oh, it does.
I know. And when you fill your yard up with oleanders, your whole yard smells like baby powder.
Well, I had been to Charleston and had driven through, but I'm sure I didn't know half of what I was seeing, so.
His name is Tillandsia
Tillandsia
usinoides.
usinoides, Tillandsia usinoides, otherwise known as Spanish moss.
Fountain of Youth. I was going to say Statue of Liberty, but I mean Fountain of Youth. Is that the next day?
Fountain of Youth is in St. Augustine, which is.
Oh.
So it's on the way, so we could make a detour if we wanted to. I'll pop online at some point and see what time they're open till. Haley, we've had a problem, but we fixed it. We had an electrical problem this morning. Our battery was dead. We charged something overnight that we shouldn't have. But we finally made it here to the Kennedy Space Center.
It's May 30th today. It's day 15 of the trip. And we're finally here. And we choose to go to the moon.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things.
Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
That challenge, no, that goal is one that will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills.
It was one of the most exciting days.
But no, for me to try and keep up with Haley, and then Rodney to try and keep up with us with the camera.
It was fantastic fun, and that building was great.
They did almost a perfect job putting this museum together.
NASA almost did a perfect job. Continue.
Oh, which I don't remember which thing I picked on, but
11, 10, 9. We have ignition sequence start.
No, they're going back to the capsule kind of thing with a not the reusable shuttle kind of landing like an airplane. So they're moving on from the space shuttle. So, and I was hoping that they would have more stuff about that.
Yeah, they really didn't have much.
But they don't know the final design just yet. It's a work in progress.
You know, it takes time to plan things.
Going to the moon.
Yeah, I mean, for all the planning we did on our trip, we still had lots of unexpected things.
Yes. I don't know, is it more the science angle?
Oh, it's the adventure.
But then there's science thrown in.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
A little bit of science in there, and so how can you go wrong with that? No, I mean there's that cool aspect to it of this adventure of discovery that you know something's there and but you don't know what it is or where it's going to go or how it's going to end. And, we choose to go to Hawaii and the other states too.
Welcome to the moon. Okay, all right, that's enough silliness.
And then you get cool mission patches too.
But this one is the most you. Well, it's not square, but it's a triangle.
It's not square, that's good. For each of the trips that I've ever taken, major trips, I've come up with a logo, a design, just like the same way that NASA does. So, but no, have you ever come up with a logo that was so cool that you just had to do the trip?
All the time.
That's the whole reason we did this trip.
Oh man, we're dorks.
Lake Jessup, Florida.
The most alligators of any lake in the world.
When you're in Florida and you're on an airboat ride in Lake Jessup, the place to go is Bird Island.
There are no mammals on the island because the alligators come up and eat them.
Yeah, if you're going to swim out to that island, probably 99 times out of 100 you will be eaten by an alligator. That's why we were on the airboats and not swimming. It'll take 4 hours to get it done because there's a leak. So if they just recharge it, it'll all just go away. So that's no good. And so they have to obviously fix that and then recharge the Freon because there's absolutely zero in there.
That was the first instance of traveling is hard. Let's go shopping.
Map store.
I love map stores.
Let's go in.
Navigator of Portugal was one of the first. It was after Magellan's circum.
Oh.
I was.
After that, we went and found a thrift store.
Oh yeah, we went thrift shopping.
If that was blue, it would be perfect.
I know. That's what I was thinking. Let's see if they have any overalls, because that's a good idea.
So that ate up a big chunk of the day. And so when you get behind schedule, you have to make up time, and you do that by driving into the night. It's like 2 in the morning, something like that. We're at the Alabama border. We could have kept going, but
We had to wake up and get the welcome sign in the morning.
It's just one rule. We're gonna get a well, 2 rules: visit every state and then get the welcome sign photo.
Yeah.
And
so I mean, we could have caught up. We could have made up for all that lost time.
Well, no, that's where we would have been the following morning anyway. Plus, we wanted to get sleep, so it was better to stop there and sleep, and then because there's plenty of time to get where we needed to the next day in New Orleans. The Big Easy, the Crescent City,
known for its music and
yeah.
We're waiting to go on the steamboat Natchez, like half an hour before we're supposed to get on the boat. He's like screaming. We're like, what is happening? What is happening? No, I mean,
And
it's an imperfect instrument. You can't, even if you're doing the right thing at the right time, it's still gonna go like somebody killed a buzzard.
Nous sommes in New Orleans, Louisiana, aujourd'hui.
It's day 17. We're on State 20. We're in New Orleans, Louisiana.
He'd never had beignets before. I did the beignet trick on him.
The other nice part about New Orleans was we stayed in a hotel.
We stayed in a hotel.
But so we got all duded up and gussied up, and we're looking for a place to go. Just, someplace New Orleans.
Someplace with jazz.
And so that was, we just sat back and listened to the music and relaxed and had a couple drinks.
We listened to the entire set, and it was fabulous. We had bourbon and Coke.
I'm not a drinker.
Well, I had bourbon.
I had Coke. No, because so we spent the night in the hotel.
And we drove on I-10.
And we headed towards Lake Charles, Louisiana, the birthplace of one Haley Chamberlain.
Roger and Rodney got to meet both my grandparents.
And your niece's birthday party, or which
Sydney's
was
birthday party. All of my family that lives in Lake Charles was all getting together.
So I had to get the pencil and go in and write in on the schedule. And all right, we got to do.
Change schedule again.
That was neat that we got to include that for you.
Yeah,
it was neat for me to. I liked seeing that.
That's the kind of stuff that fills me up, and it just was amazing that we could just change our plans and do the things that we want to change them to.
No, it was the fuse blew, and so we couldn't listen to our new CD that we had just got.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I think we figured that one out pretty easily. That's about the limits of my mechanical abilities and knowledge.
Kind of fits. This would be your favorite. We had both been to the Alamo before. I had never been inside. We didn't go inside this time.
No, because we were too busy looking at trees and flowers.
Well, who knew? I didn't remember. I didn't remember.
Knew.
You knew.
But I didn't even think of. Oh, hey, there's this beautiful garden behind the chapel.
And it was amazing. I couldn't even think. I just kept taking pictures and then identifying and finding all these cool things. There were a bunch that weren't in any books that I had.
We had things to do in Austin.
My aunt and uncle and my cousin Holly and her husband Bill, they lived there, and so we were just gonna go and hang out with them.
And you were gonna try and surprise me, but I figured out what the surprise was.
Have you ever come here and they were gone?
No, they always come out.
So I had known about it.
No surprising, Roger.
But I was surprised when I figured it out. Oh, it's the bats.
And we're waiting on the bats that are going to come out of the Congress Avenue Bridge here. It's the largest population of urban bats in the world. He was surprised when he figured it out.
But not
when I surprised him.
Not when it was supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And pretty soon, one drop of rain, another drop. Next thing we know, it's just downpouring.
Bats were not coming out.
Drive carefully, my friend.
Fortunately, we had a place to stay.
Yeah, Holly and Bill, they let us come over to their house and stay. And
we still had to get up early. On that morning, first thing that we did, drove through Dealey Plaza where the Kennedy assassination had taken place. Oh, and so Rodney filmed us from the spot where Abraham Zapruder had filmed from. We didn't have time to stop and go and tour the book depository or anything like that.
Roger, there are some things you just have to learn. You have to figure these things out for yourself. And they kept telling me, and they kept telling me, and they kept telling me, and I wasn't listening until one day it just hit me. Roger, there's some things you just have to figure out for yourself.
That's a beautiful train!
And then we were going to try and get into Arkansas where you can rent teepees. I mean,
the car, it was already starting like the, gosh, our air conditioning, we just got it fixed and now it already is.
It was making noise.
Autopilot disengaged. It was making noise and it wasn't blowing cold air. And Roger was like, well, we'll just keep going. We'll go to it's 90 miles. We'll get to the teepees. And,
yeah, we'll get to where we need to stop.
And it sounds as if someone has
dropped dinnerware into the car.
Oh, what's up?
I sabotaged the car so we could eat at the rib room.
We found a mechanic, an auto repair place, and so they're like, well, we can fit you in tomorrow, and you know, there's a campground that's like 10 miles out of town, but we can't guarantee that you'll make it that far.
Yeah, they didn't think we'd make it 10 miles.
No, so it's like the pulley compressor or whatever for the air conditioner, and of course it goes through the serpentine belt, which connects to everything. So, but if that goes, then we're kind of stranded.
We've been having a little bit of trouble uploading to the website just because of blah, blah, blah technical things.
Computer technical things.
We're stuck in Fort Smith, Arkansas because some sort of belt thing for our compressor pulley, blah, blah, blah.
Anyway, we're getting that checked out tomorrow. I'm thinking we need to spend more time in places.
Travel is hard. Let's go shopping.
I tried to take Haley's tree book, and I was going to identify mall trees.
Identify the ficus.
There's more trees over by the food court. This is another successful day of waiting for the car to get fixed. There was kind of a risk of, can we skip these states? Nobody will know. And
yeah, it was sad because, there's just so much good stuff to see in every state.
Oh, I can't hold this anymore.
But not only did we take one welcome sign picture of the two of us in every state, we had a system going.
One of the first things that has to happen is that Roger has to change his shirt. I have to get Rodney with my little camera, and Bruce Lee.
Okay, and then we have to get the double.
And the last thing that we do is we take some HD footage running from state to state.
They were acceptable. They are not the best.
Tennessee I like. Tennessee had good light.
Yeah.
But Kentucky, it was getting dark, and it was not Maine, but it did say, birthplace of President Lincoln. And I pay attention to those things.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, we're out of here.
We made another stop.
Another Haley stop, and that was the cool part about kind of that section of the trip is.
He let me mess it up a little bit.
Well, I didn't let you. I wanted you to input stuff, and so a few months before the trip, you're like, oh, I found this really cool thing in St. Louis to do. It's these ancient Indian cities.
Mounds.
They're giant dirt mounds that are.
They're the largest man-made earthen mounds in the world.
It's kind of cool that you're on top of this ancient earthwork that was part of the center of this ancient civilization, and there's this modern city of St. Louis.
And you can see the arch.
And you can see the arch. Somebody told me, hey Roger, we want you to come up with a design for a monument to commemorate the Louisiana Purchase and Lewis and Clark's journey and all of the things that came from that. The last thing in the world that I would have ever come up with is the arch that they came up with. I wish we would have had time to go up inside of it, because that's a cool thing to do. But we didn't, because we had places to go.
We had to keep moving.
We had to keep moving because of the car problems in Arkansas. And, I wanted to make sure that we were still on schedule so that we would get there in time. And that one of the things that I wanted to do on the trip was I wanted to recreate the American Gothic, Grant Wood painting of holding the pitchfork in front of that house. And the house is there still as a museum. It happened to be June 6th of 2007, which was D-Day. And D-Day, of course, is a very important date in history. Of course, what D-Day would not be complete without the traditional D-Day flowers and card.
How cool is that? But there were flowers waiting at the American Gothic house.
I had called them like the day or two before when we were behind schedule. And I said, wait, put a hold on that.
You are insane! How did you do this?
Mm-hmm. And it was the same car that I got last year on D-Day.
That's right. Because I told you when we were there what the next surprise was.
Yeah, there was another surprise in Iowa. D-Day is just full of surprises.
Iowa is, of course, the future birthplace of Captain James T. Kirk.
Starfleet.
Star Trek. So that was the second surprise of the day. Then there was a third surprise that I wasn't planning on.
Me either. And who knew? I mean, as we were driving through, I was going, pull over, we gotta stop.
So I pulled over and we took some pictures. No, the sunset, that was just a neat.
It was worth it.
It was a nice end to a good day.
Yeah.
That wasn't too bad.
Camping. It was intense.
I think that was the only. the idea. Actually, it was Rodney's idea. We're in Chicago. We have to eat pizza. It's like, okay. And Haley was all up for eating. It's like, yeah, okay, food, pizza. I like the pizza except for the crust.
It was like pie crust.
Kind of like, yeah, I don't know, it was different. They're building a building next door. So we went over and talked to the construction guys, and they're telling us where to go in Indiana, and because that was where we were headed to next.
And we were like, yeah, we're going camping tonight, just outside of town. And they were like, no, you don't want to do that.
It'll be between 75 and in some cases 100 miles per hour. Also, there's the potential for large hail and isolated tornadoes tonight.
And so we're like, yeah, maybe this is another one of those camping cabin kind of nights. Or
You want to wash it down with some Tang?
I think so.
No, so we got in another camping cabin, and it was just the most beautiful night ever. No wind, no rain, no storm,
Not a
nothing.
bit.
So I think the storm actually went through, but it went through north of where we were at. And the next morning we did the trifecta. We hit 3 welcome signs, right? Boom, boom, boom.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
And
one of them had obstacles. There were sprinklers going.
That wasn't the sound of my Onyx, it was the sound of the sprinkler. For me, I'm terrible at keeping in touch with people. And generally when I travel, it is about seeing the places that I want to see, and I don't necessarily fit time in to meet friends along the way. But Haley coming along on the trip really inspired me to, hey, let's try and fit some friends in. So while we were going to be in Michigan, we decided we would meet up with some old friends of Rodney's and mine. We had lunch with them and hung out with them for a little while. And the cool part about meeting up with them, and the reason that I wanted to meet up with them, is back when Rodney and I first started shooting video, home movies of our vacations and trips, and starting to get into the video process. The first trip that we ever took where we shot video was the trip to Michigan to meet up with these guys. And so it kind of fit that we were going to meet up with them.
And to boot, they were cool guys.
So then it was on to northern Michigan.
Another race.
Race against the force of darkness.
I was desperate to win this race.
I had set aside a day in the middle of the trip, actually the exact middle of the trip. This was day 25. Halfway point, and so I decided we'll have a day of rest. And so we wanted to get back to Minnesota, but I wanted to get a really nice video of the Mackinac Bridge that connects the upper and lower peninsulas of Michigan.
This over here, this is part of the same state, even though it's not attached. There's a bridge that attaches these two here. This is the Mackinac Bridge.
But if we got there before dark, then we could keep on driving and then get home early. And we got there at the Mackinac Bridge.
Perfect.
There, how's it going? It's June 8th, 2007. It's day 24 of the trip. We're almost to the halfway point. We've been driving all day, and we're planning on driving all night. So we have 1 free day planned in Minnesota, but we might get 2 out of this.
I drove part of it, drank a bunch of caffeinated soda. And
what do you think I'm drinking Mountain Dew for?
That was
you drank the caffeinated soda to stay awake, and the NyQuil I drove.
So that I was, no, is that what it was? Okay. So we just found a little rest area in Wisconsin and slept on picnic tables. Mm-hmm. So we didn't see...
No, it was dark.
We didn't see any of Wisconsin.
We've been to Wisconsin a bunch, and it's beautiful. Check it out.
It is.
But it's not in our movie.
So I should start talking
about starting the project and
starting the project. So yeah, so it was while I did the Trek America trip, where I was actually a tour guide, I decided, yeah, I want to do this thing as a TV show or as a movie or something like that. And I was going to do it, and I had to convince Rodney to do it. He was reluctant to do this at first. So we had to find ourselves a co-host. I put an ad on the Minnesota Film Board website. I got a whole bunch of different responses from people. And one of the people was one Haley Chamberlain.
Hi, I'd love to have more information about the travel show pilot. I'm a total outdoor travel girl. I'm physically fit from kung fu, dancing, and hiking, and I love problem solving in new situations. I'm very comfortable on camera, and your project sounds like so much fun.
What I wanted to do was take all these applicants that we had, all these people sending in resumes, and just kind of do an interview first. So Rodney and I ended up meeting up with Haley on June 6th of 2005, D-Day.
Once we did the interview session, then we wanted to narrow it down to like 2 or 3 that we really liked that we would do an on-camera audition with, go run around, do something fun.
And I'll be auditioning to be Roger's co-host for his Welcome to America 50 States in 50 Days TV show pilot.
It's like we just hit it off instantaneously. It was just really, really cool and fun, and that's what I wanted to find in somebody that I would travel with, but then also certainly somebody that I wanted on my TV show.
You know, I would actually be really perfect for this because I played viola in 12th Night. I'm a martial artist. A horse, my kingdom for a horse. Oh, see, we'd be such a good team.
Instead of doing 50 states in 50 days, which was the whole thing, I just took 2 days out of the larger trip, driving through Minnesota and Wisconsin.
Then you'd have something real with a co-host to pitch to whoever you wanted to.
It was so much fun having Haley along. That added so much more to that trip.
Well, that was the trip that, like, we didn't even know each other at all.
For me, it just really opened up the idea to that kind of an adventure, of really getting to know someone, and just the way that we clicked and everything that happened just made me want to do the whole trip. So much more to have that aspect of it and getting to know each other.
All right. He's a twine-loving traveler. She's a leech-loving brainiac. Let's bring him up. Haley Chamberlain and Roger Johnson, please.
IFP Minneapolis, independent film organization. Every month they would have what's called the Cinema Lounge. And so we went to the Cinema Lounge to show off 2 states, 2 days. This is just the pilot to say, here's what it's going to be like if we do the whole thing, but we just did 2 days.
Let me open it up to the audience real quick.
How big is your crew?
The crew for this was 1.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
It was my brother Rodney.
Oh, okay.
So afterwards, we're standing around talking, and there were 2 women there that basically cornered Rodney and were telling him how really great they thought it was. And they're like, you don't need to pitch this thing to anybody. Just do it yourselves. You got everything that you need. I told them about the website, and so with that kind of traffic to my website, like, there's no reason that we couldn't just do this thing. And so it's like, we're going to do this thing as a movie. We're just going to do it. We'll raise whatever money we can come up with and save ourselves. I got another job, and we'd pay for a bunch of it with credit cards, whatever we needed to do.
And it's like, well?
It's like, okay.
Okay.
Then we were off. It was kind of a neat way to start the second half of the trip, because we were kind of retracing a lot of our route that we had done on 2 states, 2 days, or at least the first day.
Yeah, it was all familiar.
Went back up to Itasca and canoed to the headwaters again.
Mm-hmm.
It's where the Mississippi River starts flowing on its journey to the Gulf of Mexico. We also added a member to the crew.
Am I supposed to be waving?
My friend Cindy. I convinced her to come along with. She was going to help Rodney carry the tripod and
become my new friend.
Cindy helped cook.
Oh, yes. With Cindy coming, then after that we got to eat.
It was another set of hands and to help do things, and
she cared about that kind of thing. I wasn't complaining about eating.
No,
I was just
it would come up.
Always hungry.
And so we'd try
until Cindy came.
And so
we love Cindy.
And
she can't eat wheat. It might rain in Austin, and it can in Boston. Or no, I guess Boston then Austin. It's June 12th. It's day 28 on the trip, and
we're in Mitchell, South Dakota.
We're at the Corn Palace.
And then inside they've got pictures of the past corn palaces. And then it's on to the Black Hills.
I'll follow
you. So we want to eat now, right? Before the storm?
Before the storm. Where are we going to stop tonight?
I'm thinking Chamberlain is 32 miles away, or it was the last time I ever saw a road sign. Ooh, lightning again.
Lewis and Clark were sent by Thomas Jefferson to go out and explore the new territory. There's a museum there within the rest area in which they've got a replica of the ship that they took, and there's tents that they stayed in,
and their food examples.
And all of this stuff.
But that was a really, really fun day. I liked going to explore the Lewis and Clark
And so,
rest area.
Yeah, that was just the beginning of the day. The next stop, it was just kind of a, well, I happen to have a national park pass, and there just happens to be a national park here.
The Badlands! Yay!
So we went into the Badlands, and
it was beautiful.
It's like an alien world. And,
I'm so glad. Thank you for stopping.
And I knew you'd probably like it. It was something that was, okay, Haley might get a kick out of this.
The only way we'll ever do out.
Just outside the Badlands is the little town of Wall.
Where are we?
Wall Drug. They've got food. We had buffalo burgers.
There was
picture on the jackalope.
Yeah, the jacalope's a must. And there are like 50,000 junk stores there.
Just everything a tourist could ever want. So we bought presidential sodas and drinking presidential soda at Mount Rushmore. So you had you had Kennedy soda. I had Martin Van Buren soda.
Hail to the soda.
I thought you were gonna burp the Gettysburg Address.
I'm surprised that they didn't have Lincoln, Washington, Jefferson.
Yeah.
What's his name with the glasses? And Teddy Roosevelt.
I was wondering, Roger, who do you think smells?
I think Stacy smells. I had, for the trip, purchased a state shirt for every single state, or so I thought. I'm looking for my shirt, and I couldn't find it. It could have been there.
It wasn't there.
It wasn't there. I didn't even have one. I did not buy one.
Okay, ready? You tickling? You ticklish you?
And not only did she do Nebraska, but she did a rendition of Chimney Rock, which was on the welcome sign.
All right, I think this is looking pretty good.
So we stopped by Walmart to get a shirt, and I was saying
he couldn't go in because he didn't have a shirt on.
Well, you know what? I bet you I could have, and nobody would have said anything. But so she buys me like an extra small.
It was just a large one that actually fit.
It was,
and it looked really nice. The proof is in the pudding. We ended up going to the best rest area ever. It was actually by the same artist.
That's what we were told.
Who did Carhenge.
Then we were at Carhenge, which is down the road. Somebody, did you see the rest area up the road? You got to stop there. So, yeah, we've been there. How do you explain Carhenge?
Carhenge is
cars.
Stonehenge made out of vintage cars that are painted gray.
This is like the third time I've been there.
It's June 14th. It's day 30 of the trip. We're on state number what?
I think it's
36?
36, I think. We're in Nebraska. Our final stop was going to be near Chimney Rock. It's on the state quarter of Nebraska. It's on their license plates. It was on the welcome sign. This is the landmark in Nebraska.
Okay, ready to go? Wonders! Oh!
Pioneers used to take the Oregon Trail through Nebraska, and it would go by Chimney Rock. And this was like the landmark that they would stop at and go by that made sure they knew they were on the right track.
Oh, it smells good. I knew what Chimney Rock was because I played Oregon Trail.
Computer did.
Mm-hmm.
They'd be like 2 to 3 miles an hour, and we're thinking, how long would it take us to do all of our route, our 15,000 miles or whatever it was, if we were traveling in a covered wagon? We didn't want to find out.
Nebraska was the biggest surprise of the trip.
Not for me. I expected it. No.
To me, it was the most surprising place on the trip because I thought, great, Nebraska, flat, nothing. And it turned out to be this beautiful place with really cool, interesting people and really great rock chimney.
Yay! You want that train hauling?
115 cars!
What are they hauling?
They're hauling coal! That's commerce, baby!
Either these or Nutter Butters.
You made the right choice.
we decided we're going to visit Dodge City, the historic home of Wyatt Earp. And
that was where we got the cap guns.
Oh, big mistake. If you ever travel with Haley Chamberlain, do not buy her a cap gun.
If you give somebody a cap gun and you have one, then you should just know that, you know, it's on.
But you had never had a cap gun before.
No, not really. I didn't really like guns, but cap guns, they seem okay. Yeah. Well, you know what I want to do next? I want to make an action movie. I want to have a big kung fu sequence and guns and swords, and that's what I want to do next.
Before we left Dodge City, a little warning light comes on. Okay, great. What's this?
I don't know if Roger still wanted to have it checked out or what he wants to do.
Well, you guys got a couple of codes in here.
All kinds of stuff, and it's like, yeah, it's probably not a problem. So it's like, okay.
Oh, great.
And so we got out of Dodge. In our Dodge, colorful Colorado, which I believe Colorado means colorful.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of redundant, but only if you know what it means. We're just north of Pueblo, which is south of, I think I'm looking at Pikes Peak right now, but I'm not sure. It's America's mountain. The song America the Beautiful was written while at the top.
Pikes Peak area is obtained by the United States as part of President Thomas Jefferson's Louisiana Purchase. That was a good buy. President Jefferson dispatches Lieutenant Zebulon Montgomery Pike to determine the Louisiana Purchase's southwestern borders.
All of a sudden, just steam. The temperature gauge had been in the normal range. It was fine.
And then
all of a sudden, it was overheating. And so, okay, I've been here before. I've done this before. No problem.
That's water.
We've got water. So we added water to the little, the overflow thing, thinking that will do it. It'll siphon in and all will be good.
We were wrong.
We went a little bit further. Oh, overheated again.
The temperature is way up and the fuel gauge is low. Well, there's a joke like that. We're low on oil pressure, we're low on fuel, but the good news is we've got plenty of temp.
So what does that mean?
We're gonna turn around.
So, as my mother says, we failed. It's June 17th, Father's Day, and it's day 33 of our trip, and that's Pikes Peak over there.
We made an attempt at the summit. We were going to go to a gas station, of course, because we needed gas, and then the car
overheated.
It was overheating, and then it stalled on us.
I don't understand how this happened, because we should have known that if you've been to Pikes Peak 3 times so far, and you didn't know that you had to have gas to get up there.
I'm thinking, oh no, I've ruined the engine. I didn't just ruin Pikes Peak. I ruined the engine. I ruined the trip. You know, skipping Pikes Peak or skipping anything would have been fine, but if the engine was gone, then it's like, no.
We'd be done. We don't have any peanut butter. We're gonna be out of jelly soon.
And all of a sudden, you know, pickup truck pulls up.
He was amazing.
And it's
He's like, hey, you want a tow? Sure.
Yeah, we wanted to get to the next gas station.
We didn't know we'd be doing this today.
And so stress levels going down, you know, getting closer to gas station, someplace, you know.
This guy was like, man, thank you. You're our angel. And he goes, oh, I am an angel. I was like, what? That someone has carved wings in his back. Apparently, he's been an angel to other people. He tends to show up when people are in need and save them.
We were debating, okay, do we keep on going? Do we drive through the night and make up for lost time?
Should spend the night.
Because, yeah, we were supposed to be in New Mexico by the time the sun went down and all that.
It just didn't happen.
Then the car overheats again.
Well, that's an easy decision. We're going to have to stay in Pueblo.
The check engine light is off, but the oil light is on.
We're just driving a couple exits, and then we're going to take it in the morning.
Been a long day, and it's not over yet.
We pulled into the campground and boom, it overheated. Right in the exact same parking place we had left from earlier in the morning.
Yeah. Rodney was like, I'll fix it.
And he just kind of touches the hose coming out from the radiator, and it just popped right off. And I'm supposed to have hose clamps in my toolbox, and we just didn't have them. And you couldn't get in there with a screwdriver, and so it's like, okay, next morning we're gonna go find a place and have them fix that and do it upright. And put ourselves a little bit behind schedule, a lot behind schedule.
Yeah, an entire day. Too far behind. We're gonna have to skip stuff now.
We were pushing the schedule to its limits. If you have to drive a couple hours later in the dark and you get to where you're going, you start fresh in the morning with the new sunrise and you're on schedule again.
But this wasn't one of those.
But if you get behind so far that you have to do extra driving the next day, then you're still behind.
But everything was all a time crunch. We were always racing to make every little thing, and if you missed one thing, then it was dominoes for the rest of the things that you'd miss.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. It's like dominoes. You know, this thing gets messed up, and then it affects this thing, and this thing, and this thing, and this thing. And so the only option we had was to remove a domino and stop them from falling, if that analogy works. Unfortunately, that domino was New Mexico, basically.
Sorry, New Mexico.
Hear that, New Mexico? That was the nicest New Mexico sign I've ever seen, though.
The one right outside Four Corners?
Yeah, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, and Utah all meet at the same point. 3, 2, 1, go. We are in Arizona. We just drove through New Mexico.
We really are sorry, New Mexico. We really wanted to come, but it was the radiator. You can blame the radiator and Pikes Peak.
And me. Oh, wait, no. The radiator and Pikes Peak. I've been to the Grand Canyon, at least a half dozen times, maybe even a dozen times. Other than flying over it in a helicopter to see it for the very first time from that vantage point, the very best way to see it, maybe that's even better than the helicopter, is to see it at sunrise. And I'm thinking, Haley had such a really great time at the Badlands. This is the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, I had a great time at the Grand Canyon, I'm just gonna say. The water in Lake Mead, gorgeous, blue. And I was like, can we please go stop? Do that. And then Roger just goes, okay.
Well, again, I have a national park pass, and I had a canoe that I needed to justify carrying it 15,000 miles all over the country.
It looked so pristine and beautiful. It was really muddy and gross, and we smelled terrible.
Howdy from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada.
Viva Las Vegas! Yeah, our Vegas story was great.
We went to the Luxor buffet.
And then we went to bed.
Yeah, we were just tired.
We woke up and left the soap scum from Lake Mead all over the bathtub. It was so disgusting. Don't forget to get gas.
Nope, that's where we're headed right now.
And by don't forget to get gas, I mean, let's go get coffee.
And then get an orange juice and then like a donut or something you'd eat for breakfast if you're in a hurry.
Hang. No, don't die while you're driving. Driving. We got to see some cool geology.
Oh yeah, everywhere you go through Utah is just spectacular.
Fantastically entertaining just to drive through.
But yeah, we didn't have time to stop and really explore because we had the coolest rock formation ever to get to. And this will be different than Chimney Rock sunset because this one, the sun doesn't set behind it.
But rounding the corner and seeing the arch, there's nothing else like it. I got a little emotional. Go fig. That I saw something beautiful in nature and it made me want to cry.
So we left super early in the morning the next morning because we wanted to get to Promontory Point. What is it? It's day 27?
It's day 37. Yeah, it was so cool historically for us to be there at this place where everything from the East and the West got joined together.
Commerce, baby.
Transcontinental commerce. This historic connection between that, then you just drive down the road, and it's the company that makes the booster rockets for the space shuttle. And where they're going to be building the rocket
brand new ones
for the Orion spacecraft.
And going to Mars.
And they're going to go to the moon, Mars, and beyond.
Hey, it's kind of like us because we got like dorky history on one end, and then
Dorky
really
science on the other. I had made reservations to camp in Yellowstone in the southern part of the park, and we decided to stop a little bit earlier. So they don't have any more tent sites. So we're stuck with a teepee.
It's got a wood floor. This is great.
Well, my daddy always told me life's an adventure. Get the urge for going.
That was a nice night, and we got to do laundry and get all sorts of things done that we just needed to do to stay clean.
The reason that Jackson was cool, the reason that I kind of wanted to make sure that we went there, is that was where I was when I decided I'm going to do a 50 states, 50 days trip, and I'm going to make a movie or TV show or something about it.
We went to lots of places because they were significant to Roger for different reasons than they are significant in history, which is the way things end up. Because when you travel with somebody, you want them to think that if something that's special to you, you want it to be special to them.
It's a leech.
It's an annelid.
It's a blood-sucking parasite. But then it's also, you get to create new experiences and new memories, and next time we're there, it'll be last time I was here.
Remember when Roger took a leak behind the South Carolina monument? That was great.
I did not. I have, well.
Don't finish whatever story you're about to tell.
You can't go to Yellowstone without going to Old Faithful.
Except I had been to Yellowstone and not gone to Old Faithful.
I don't know what to say about that.
I had seen some hot springs before, but had never seen a geyser, ever. And this is sort of the one to see. And it's one of the most significant places in the world, because it's not like you're gonna see, there are not even that many geysers around the whole world, much less in your own country. It's faithful and old.
Where are we? What are we doing?
We've only got 5 more states left to go. For today, we are here in Montana at the headwaters of the Missouri River. From here.
Good morning. We wish we worn shorts because we went horseback riding this morning, and
so now we're really, really hot and miserable. We want to go swimming.
So anyway.
Lewis and Clark went through there, and they actually named the 3 rivers that came together to form the Missouri River. Hey Pete, how you doing? But we had a long, long drive. Okay, we are headed to Seattle this morning. Fortunately, it didn't rain. We couldn't see Mount Rainier though. I was hoping for that, but we did see the city. Oh, there's the needle.
Where?
Right in front of us. I went down to the
Pike's Place Market.
Pike's Place Market where they throw the fish. I had been there before and I never saw the fish.
You ready? How's about a DJ? How's about a DJ?
They almost hit the camera with the one time. Yeah. Fortunately, it was with their fake fish.
All right, get out of here!
What a fun place to be.
But now is where we really needed to stay on schedule in order to catch our airplane flight to Alaska.
If we'd missed that, that would have been it.
What we should have taken 4 days to do, we did in 2. Driving from Yellowstone to Seattle, seeing stuff in Seattle, flying to Alaska. We landed in Anchorage at like midnight or 1 o'clock a.m., something like that. You couldn't tell because it was summer and so it was still light out. It was kind of like twilight. And so we rented our car and then everybody slept in the car while I drove down to Moose Pass.
We didn't see any moose, mooses.
I think we might have seen did we see a bear when we were flying over?
If we did, it was from hundreds of feet away.
Tiny. We couldn't.
So we may possibly have had a bear, maybe, pointed out to us. 1,000 feet away. I wonder if a lot of these things would be different without sleep deprivation.
They might be better.
They might be better.
My brother Mike was there waiting for us.
It was your birthday.
And it was my birthday, and so I got a birthday card, and Rodney got one from, because we're twins, so we both got birthday cards, from my niece and nephew. The coolest thing about the presents was not necessarily the presents.
I'm not good at presents. I'm only good at wrapping presents.
And that's exactly true.
This has been a whole lot of just junk and touristy stuff. This is the one we picked up. This has been such a great trip, and this is to commemorate that.
You have a thing in your pocket?
I do. Well, we'll have to. No. Yes.
This is, right?
What is it? It's a digital picture frame to put all the photos from the. So you put a memory card in there from your camera, and you can play.
I've seen these at the store.
Kind of build up to when it's.
See, I mean, I really think it's important to build an audience base for it as it goes.
Aloha, I'm Roger Johnson, the world's first self-proclaimed welcome signs photography expert. It is August 1st, 2006. In the coming weeks and months, you're going to want to check back for future video journals. And before I get into the details of the 50 States, 50 Days trip, I thought I'd show you just a little bit about where I've gone in the past. This is everywhere that I've been in the entire United States. And there are 286 days until we start the 50 States, 50 Days trip. It is August 31st, 2006, and there are 239 days. I had to check my notes there. So why don't you just start the trip now from Scotty McDonald? This, of course, is my Dodge Grand Caravan that we're going to be taking.
We want to be able to have the most amount of daylight that we possibly can. It's October 31st, Halloween Day.
And today's video journal, we're going to talk about souvenirs. This is Scotty and Fiddy, or Fiddy and Scotty.
How did you decide exactly what you were going to see along the trip?
They are actually on day 34 of their 50 States, 50 Days trip. Anything that I haven't seen before, like Crater Lake in Oregon. I've never been there.
Happy Thanksgiving. This is Haley Chamberlain,
and you can buy really cool either 50 States, 50 Days merchandise.
224 days until we're sitting in Hawaii.
Number 20.
Flat out.
I'm ready to buy airplane tickets and everything. It is 50 Panasonic HVX 200.
And that means there are 154 days to go.
Macintosh, fancy editing computer.
It's a 50 States, 50 Days rubber stamp.
I went and I did something the other day when I bought airplane tickets, and I actually bumped the trip up a couple of weeks.
I've been keeping updated on your video journals.
And there's 113 days, and we are about to see Ham Luke, starring Haley Chamberlain.
That's right.
Since it is Haley's birthday. In 150 days, we're going to be in Hawaii. 92 days left until we start the big trip in New York City. Happy President's Day. 76 days. It is March 14th, 2007.
We got magnetic stickers for the car.
There are 50 days left until we start the 50 States, 50 Days trip. Got a new car top carrier. Haley's going to be able to bring her car. And welcome to video journal number 36. Happy Easter. So anyway, we're redoing the trip plan because the old one has changes and stuff in it.
That means there are 19 days until we leave on the big trip. We have 14 days.
A little packing music, Haley.
Certainly.
We've got too much stuff.
Good work.
Yeah, made it back to Seattle, and then we were off to Mount Rainier National Park, which I think I could say is one of my favorite national parks that I've been. It is day 42. It is June 26th, 2007.
And it's just beautiful. Look how beautiful Mount Rainier is. It had clouds on it when we got here the other day. Then we went to Alaska and came back, and it's beautiful.
So we ended up getting into Oregon early, and
we met.
And then my friend of mine, the very first Trek America trip that I ever did, they teamed me up with another tour leader, Pete Maurer.
It's customary whenever newcomers come to Oregon that we put a sticker on their car of the state.
We really liked him.
And so, no, he had built his own kayak, and I was hoping that we could try it out, but just one, being out on the ocean, being a first-time sea kayaker, wouldn't have worked out. We didn't have time.
It's the first time I've taken it into the Pacific Ocean.
You're kidding!
I've been in the Puget Sound.
The sound counts.
Guys, whoa. Oregon has the most beautiful beaches.
Why are they the most beautiful?
book.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Speaks for itself.
You know, as far as sunsets go, you know, it's probably what the top 5 of the trip. You know,
There were the remnants of a wrecked ship right in the spot we were playing on the beach. Yeah. I think we did we had a pretty good time learning, and then just getting to be goofy and have fun.
we went to Fort Clatsop, which I had almost written that. Actually, I did write that out of the schedule
I'm
several
so
times.
glad you did not.
And
I had so much fun at Fort Clatsop.
At Fort Clatsop?
At Fort Clatsop. And this was an especially fun one because it was at the end of Lewis and Clark's journey. They went and they built Fort Clatsop so that they'd have this place where they could stay for the winter. And so they were, look at me, I know something. And so, you know, Sacagawea and her baby and their family, they lived on one part, and Lewis and Clark were there, and I was in a replica of a bed that might have been in a room that maybe looked like his. Good night, Meriwether.
Good night, Joe.
For me, that was a gift. That was your gift to me on this trip, was the amount of information that you shared with me about history.
We did not get a good Welcome to Washington sign photo, and this was our last opportunity, was right there outside of Astoria.
Carried this ladder to 48 states. What are you using?
The way you go about this is in such an inspired manner, but nobody else really gets it. I think I do now.
You know, I got hurt at a South Carolina sign once.
You did.
You've heard that story.
But maybe they haven't.
I need to come up with new welcome sign stories. And of course, the Welcome to Oregon sign.
And we have to get up so we can be in the picture with it somehow.
And so, yeah.
So I'm like, well, let's just climb up and we'll just hang from it.
There were no signs saying, do not climb this sign.
Not a one. And they were just making sure we weren't up to anything funny.
So no ticket, no arrests, just a stern warning. Don't climb on any more signs in Oregon ever again.
We were like, all right. We got all the pictures we needed.
We did.
We didn't leave any out in all like.
So we had only 2 more to go, with California and Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with the van and putting stickers on it, when we were out east and we only had 5, 10, a dozen, whatever, you know, nobody paid any attention to it. The further we got west and the more stickers we had, people just kind of would congregate around us. And next thing we know, 24 people standing around us as we're explaining where we're going and how much further we've got to go. And
So obviously you're not going to drive to Hawaii.
No, we're gonna fly.
It's June 28th and it's day 44. We're pretty sure. And we're here at Crater Lake. This was a volcano and it just exploded and it made this amazingly gorgeous thing. Something like that.
Very cool. So we're gonna do this today, and then we're gonna eat some lunch, and then we're gonna go to California, which is our 49th state. We'll only have 1 more after that. Wow.
And then we'll get some sleep.
Next Thursday.
I need to do some sign calisthenics. And although it was covered in gum and
Graffiti.
with band stickers all over it, I think we still took a pretty good picture.
It wasn't too bad.
No.
California, we actually ended up spending like 5 days there. So it was, again, kind of towards the end of the trip, and we were gonna get a little bit more relaxed time in, hopefully. And we ended up spending a lot more time in redwoods in that area than I had planned on.
That's because you're in a magical fairyland when you're there. These trees are so big and beautiful. There's nothing to describe how it makes you feel to stand at the base of one of these gigantic trees. I feel like an ant. This is awesome.
I was gonna say, you are an aunt, and I'm an uncle.
It's true.
Oh.
Good one, Roger.
I almost snorted.
Good one. Just let it come. And then where'd we go? We decided to keep going. I'm pretty sure is what we did.
There's no point in having a bathroom this good unless you can sing in it. And you won't have time to do all that you want, but you can choose the things that matter in the end.
Then we went.
Oh, then it was all the way to San Francisco.
Yeah.
We went to, and then we pulled in there in the middle of the night.
Go! That's beautiful.
And I found out that there is a campground right on San Francisco Bay.
I wish that the camera could pick up how beautiful it is. There's no way to do justice at all.
If you're gonna sleep under a bridge, sleep under the Golden Gate Bridge. I know there's a little campground called Kirby Cove that we managed to get into last night, and so that was
You have to
very
make
cool.
reservations like 6 months in advance. Good job, Roger.
You were in complete seclusion. It's one of the most peaceful places I've ever been. You're right on San Francisco Bay.
And you are so close to the city. Whenever I'd take my tours to Fisherman's Wharf, I'd always go grab an In-N-Out burger down there. And that's what you do. Yeah, rather than eat inside in the restaurant, because it was a beautiful day, which you're not always guaranteed in San Francisco, but if you want to ride the cable cars in San Francisco, there's a line that runs up and down California Street. The other lines are far busier. Those end up heading down to Fisherman's Wharf. So if you want to ride on a cable car that doesn't have a ton of people on it, go on the California Street line.
Yeah, it's $5 for one way, $10 for round trip, $11 for all day.
Don't let me fall.
But then it was off to Yellowstone National. Not Yellowstone. What's the other one with a Y?
Jellystone.
The other one with a Y is Yosemite. There were a lot of days where we ended up spending just part of a day in different places. San Francisco, we didn't have quite a full day there. Chicago, we only had part of a day there. Yosemite was one of those places where I wanted to be able to spend a whole day. One idea that I had was to hike up Half Dome. And so if you want to do that, you have to start off at the trailhead before the crack of dawn at like 6 in the morning or something if you want to get up there at a reasonable time and get back down. It's like a 10-hour hike or something like that.
But we drove in and it was already really late.
And yeah, we got in after dark, and so we decided, okay, we're just gonna take it easy in our Yosemite day. We'll rest and relax.
See a little better? I just wanted to be able to see the whole picture first. I still lose it.
Oh, there they are. They're up on the far left.
Cool, huh?
Very.
Yeah, if you're going traveling and you see all these beautiful streams on the side of the road, you just are drawn to go in it and be there and just get to hang out. It's like, ah, man,
And just
how come we never
sit
get
there.
to stop on the side of the road and just chill out in that really pretty spot? It's like, well, we're on this trip and we can do anything we want to. So we're gonna go sit in one of those beautiful streams. That was the day that I discovered that Roger doesn't have a pitching arm.
Well, I've never played baseball or softball or anything like that. Whereas you grew up playing
I grew up playing
softball or
well, playing tennis and playing softball and playing lots of stuff where you throw a ball. You were a wrestler, yeah?
yeah,
And a gymnast.
yeah, which didn't involve much throwing. Well, wrestling kind of does, but that's throwing people. In Yosemite, I mean, we spent a full day there. You need more than a day. Way more. At least 2. No, I would love to be able to go to Yosemite and spend a whole week there.
All right. Well, my daddy always told me life's an adventure. You get the urge for going, you should go. It's like snow.
And you won't have time to do all that you want, but you can choose the things that matter.
Yeah, it was weird to look at the end of the trip, realizing that we had done so much stuff. We'd seen so many things, and there are just other infinite possibilities that we didn't even touch on. People would always come up to us and ask, oh, did you go down and see the, James Houston house? Or, no, there's not time for every single thing, but, you can go see the future birthplace of Captain Kirk when you need to.
That's right.
You have to prioritize.
Riverside. Well, and
it's a jumping off place. I mean, this was a gigantic trip, but even in that, going, you know what? This is just the beginning of what we could have seen and what we still can see.
Right now we're headed down California 1, the Pacific Coast Highway, towards Los Angeles, California, the last stop before Hawaii. It is July 2nd, 2007. We are on day 48 of the big trip. This morning.
You don't have to do this whole thing in 50 days. You can do it over 50 years.
You got your whole lifetime.
You really do have a lifetime to do this stuff, and this is just one adventure.
I'm just saying, if you have the urge to go somewhere, you should find a way and go. I was wearing red. It was a beautiful sunny day.
I think you were wearing
just
red.
outside Los Angeles.
And it was a beautiful day, and it was the last gas stop of the whole trip.
Welcome sign.
Yeah, I bet everybody else is wondering, why are they taking pictures of them, filling up with gas?
Because it meant something to us. It was our last gas stop.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter whether something's, this big event or whatever, it is for us and for our journey and our trip. It was
the last gas stop was significant.
The tourist spot to go see, the icon of Los Angeles and Hollywood is to go see the Chinese Theater and the Walk of Fame.
I really can't believe I've never been here. What are we gonna see?
I always try to find what's his face.
Yeah, I had never been there. I've been to LA twice and I'd never been. I'd never seen the Walk of Fame. I was teaching at it.
Yeah.
That's a good shot.
The Bruce Lee star. He's somebody who, had it all. He got to make movies and do what he loved at the same time. It's kind of what I would love to do. I want to make movies and get to explore the world and get to learn about science and nature as I do it. What could be more fun than combining all the things that you love to do as your job?
Work? Oh, my booty hurts.
Yeah, I should try combining all my interests.
Oh, wait.
Some way.
That's this movie.
No, so that was kind of the neat thing of ending up in Hollywood. As it wasn't the very last day, it was day 49, and here we are in Hollywood, California, making a movie and the completion of this giant epic trip that I had put together.
I can't see anything in my camera.
No, I know, and the zoom is just, have to be zoomed all the way in.
We'll just have to get closer. We are on a street in Los Angeles, lined with palm trees, headed toward the Hollywood side. Kind of perfect, don't you think?
And so that was our last thing that we decided we were going to do, is to try and get as close to the Hollywood sign as we possibly could and get some really great photos. And
Is your camera bag within that bag?
Yes, it is. There's hiking trails that go up through Griffith Park and through the mountains. And
It was a hike.
And so I found trail maps.
Yeah, just up the Holly Ridge Trail. I was thinking there might be goofy stuff, but it looks like it's straightforward.
To Mulholland?
To Mulholland, we take a left.
And right under the sign.
Straight on till tomorrow.
Hey, there it is. Okay.
All right, we're closer than ever. Oh, now we're closer than ever. Oh, now we're closer. Oh, but we better pace ourselves. Because, you know, when you're down in the city, you're down at the Chinese theater, it's those little tiny letters way up there, and you have
We got pretty darn close.
We got as close as legally allowed.
That next morning, we didn't have to be there too early, huh?
No, I think we got there right on time at the airport. It was the 4th of July. I don't know if it's, I've never flown on the 4th of July before, so I don't know if that was busier than normal or what, but none of us ended up sitting next to each other.
Thank God.
So, finally wrapped up day 50.
But at that point, the second that we stepped foot in Hawaii, we met our goal. Well, I guess once we got the welcome sign.
Yeah. So yeah, we had officially finished our the stated goal. Stated.
That's really good. Dang, we'll have to settle for the Mustang. Nice. It just seems like it's beyond reasonable. or beyond reasoning. Not beyond reasonable, but just you didn't really have to have a reasoning. It was like any good art project. Well, like most good art projects, it starts with somebody who has an idea and they have to do it for some reason. And that was why it was easy to jump on board with you, because it was apparent that no matter that it was a passion that was not mine, and I could have my own, but it was something that I could very clearly see that you were going to do. You were going to see it through to the end because you were totally passionate about it and you had to. I mean, there was nothing that was going to stop you. And so it's easy to be a part of something when somebody seems unstoppable.
And whether it takes, you know, time saving up money or saving up vacation time with work or whatever it is. And it isn't even travel. It's whatever your dreams might be. Mine just happens to be travel and tying it in with the making movies and stuff.